Well, welcome everybody. I'm so glad to see such a robust table full of people here to lunch and learn about the SoCal Awards for 2017. So today what we're going to do and kind of be talking about in a much more informal setting than we would normally do is how to be successful at SoCal. And this is the most sophisticated and most competitive market in the nation for product, people, and services. So with that being said, obviously, this is the top level of the top level. So really what we're going to do is try to talk about the high points of how to stand apart from your competition, because everybody's doing fantastic work, but how do you get that edge over someone else in the category in front of the judges? So before we get started, I just wanted to show you this is our beautiful logo for this year. Our theme is Soaring Over SoCal. We'll be returning back to the Grand Californian this year for our event. And Megan, would you like to announce who our MC is this year?
Our MC is going to be Mario Lopez. So we're very excited about that. Yeah. Lisa fought long and hard to get him to be our MC. So good job, Lisa.
Mario and his dimples will be there presenting their beautiful SoCal trophies on stage. So yes, that is what we're all striving for, is to get to Mario. But before we get to that, I'd like to share with you our beautiful theme for this year, which is showcasing all of Southern California. Beautiful.
That was great.
So we're extraordinarily grateful to the team at Gun Jerkins for providing us with their fantastic work and our creative theme. And what that represents and what that video showcases is really what I wanted to remind everyone, is that SoCal Awards is just that. It is not just one area of Southern California, it's all of Southern California, from the desert to the sea, from Bakersfield to San Diego. It is a regional awards. It is the oldest awards in the sphere of home building recognition. And so with that, you will see things and product, people, and services from San Diego, Riverside, Orange County, LA, all the way up to Santa Barbara. So within that, that's just to give you the sphere of the competition field. And also just a reminder that to submit into the SoCal Awards, the one requirement is that you do have to be a BIA of Southern California member in good standing. So if you haven't already done that, please talk to Amy and get that accomplished prior to, because they are very strict on that. Obviously, it's something they want to follow because it's presented by the BIA. Just a few top line dates that we need to all be aware of is the entry deadlines. Entry deadlines, there are 3 deadlines this year, and the reason for that is to remind everybody that there is some cost savings to being early, to being an early adopter. So if you submit your entries and pay your materials by August 15th, it's a $200 entry fee. Now, if you get to the end and it's like August 16th, you're like, oh my gosh, we just opened this new project, but we still want to submit. You can still submit all the way up to the 23rd. However, between the 16th and the 23rd, it's going to be a $400 entry fee. And that is just because we're allowing those folks to squeak in at the last minute. It's a late entry fee, but it's not suggested to wait till that point. We are going to be the advisory board has sent down from on high that the deadlines are very hard this year. There will be no extensions. There will be no, hey, can I just get in one more day? There is no more one more day. The deadline is hard. There will be date and time stamped. Just note that categories, and I passed out to everyone the call for entry so you can see the categories as we're going through today. But for marketing professional, associate professional, customer service, and community superintendent, Rising Star as well, those are nominated categories, so there's no entry fee associated with those. And what a nominated category means is you must nominate someone. You can't self-submit yourself. And so that's just something to be aware of as you're looking through your entry opportunities. And category 44, which is our $1 million sales achievement, sales managers and such, great non-judged category. This is simply a recognition of sales volume. That is $125 for that fee. So I just wanted to go over that. But again, all materials, the 23rd of August at midnight is D-Day. That's the end. So we will be judging the very next week, and we are planning to do the interviews for the sales professionals and other interviews on Monday, the 28th of August. I believe that's the correct date. And that will be held here at the BIA offices. And I'll go into more detail about those interviews later on. But those are really the hard and fast deadlines that you need to be aware of. And so I just want to make sure we start that off first. So when you're going back and you're thinking about your submittals, now we're talking about professional achievement, sales professionals, marketing managers, sales managers, and for some folks. And then we have product entries for some of the other folks here. Is that correct? So it's basically the whole gamut. The first thing I really want to stress is the approach to take with this is just like anything else that you would do in your career. Professionalism. Sit down and take the call for entries and go through it and determine really what is my strategy? What are the new products? Who are the new people? What are the new processes that we've come along with in this year that we would like to showcase out to the industry and the market, the consumer? Because basically all awards programs are our marketing tools. It's just like the Academy Awards. The reason they have the Academy Awards is to get us all to go to the movies. The intention for our SoCal Awards is to either, one, get consumers into our sales offices, two, to market our companies to the industry or to the community. And so if you approach it in that manner with a business type mindset, you're already underway. If it's just like, oh, this is just what we do because it's part of the industry and we do it to support, well, you're kind of starting with the back foot. You really want to approach it with a professional outlook. Because those folks who are going to come and sit here for 3 days and review your entry materials, they're looking at you with those eyes. So that's really one of the #1 topics I want to give to Sharon and Part. We've put together a handout for you, and I think this will really help. It kind of puts you in the right mindset. And the first thing we did is on the first page, we give you the 9 reasons why winning makes a difference for you and your company. And it talks about how it's a cost-effective way to thank your team. It's a nominal compared to publicity. Small organizations have as much chance of winning as do large organizations, so it's a great way, the David versus Goliath type of situation. Lots of categories covering lots of different aspects of our industry, from superintendents to customer service to landscape design to outdoor living spaces to community of the year. We range the entire gamut because we are trying to recognize the best in housing. This promotes your win not only here in Southern California, but it promotes it across the industry. And not only that, as we said before, you get to give an acceptance speech in front of the industry for 30 seconds, and you get to meet Mario Lopez and shake his hand. So we've also given you tips and tricks just talking about photography, how to put your images together, and information of that such, and how to really follow the hard guidelines of following the rules. So with that being said, some of the other items you're going to want to look forward to when you're putting your entries together is, again, starting early, getting that photography or those photos of those professionals that you're going to submit. Get those early. Don't wait to the end. There's nothing worse than chasing your tail because you're trying to wait and put something together. Look at the categories and figure out what the requirements are so that you know what you're getting yourself into. We've really streamlined the forms back to a simple team project information form. The team form at the top is really to give credit to those folks who need to be given credit to, either on screen, in the engraving, and or in publicity. And then the marketing statement below is really the details, the information that the judges need to have imparted to them to understand the project to go along with those photographs. So if you start by gathering those materials early, once you figure out what those categories are, that'll really help you because that's kind of the dirty details that usually left to the end. So, as we talked about, reviewing the categories and requirements is #1. Determine what that list is that you're going to want to submit and figure that out early. We've given you, this is the steps to enter. The steps to enter, it's a 2-step entry process. okay? So the first thing you're gonna do after you figure out your list of categories that you're gonna wanna submit for, you're gonna go onto the website, the SoCal Awards website, and you're gonna submit your entry through the online portal. Really what that is that's your intent, that's your nomination. There's a pull-down menu, you're gonna select the category, you're gonna put in either the project or the candidate's name, their location, and then new this year, it's gonna ask you for the builder and the associate who should be credited for that project. Now, if you're submitting for a person, a candidate, for a salesperson, sales manager, and so forth, you can leave those builder and associates. The builder could be the builder they're representing. The associate, you can put NA or non-applicable, because obviously, but it's gonna ask you to fill that out, so that is a trigger. It won't let you go forward unless you put something in that field. So that's just to note. You're gonna fill those out. You can add a project as you're going along, so you can make it one long transaction, so you can pay once. Note, as you're going through and you're adding a project, if you add one more project than you meant to, you can't go back. So be very careful with that. That's the one Achilles heel to this system is as you're adding along, it doesn't let you take one off. It asks you for your contact information. Make sure you put your contact information in, not your boss's or whoever's credit card it is, because that email that's going to get returned to you is going to come back to you with all the goodies of the entry numbers and the forms and all the information that you may need to complete your entry. Once you fill that out, you can submit you can either pay by, I believe it's only credit card. You pay your payment, that part is done. That is like, the sooner you can do that, the better off you are. Once you do that, you're gonna get an email confirmation that's gonna have your entry numbers. Your entry serial numbers are very important. This is a blind judging, even with the salespeople, okay? Because really, the judges only use those 6 digits to score your candidate or your submittal in every single format. They don't refer to it by its project name, its location, or the person's name during the judging. They only know them as 4376. That is how it's done. It's a blind judging. So as you can see, when you're putting your materials together, and this is a perfect example, after you're getting your entries all together, we'd really love if you have more than one entry, if you submit it in one folder. That way, it can even say on that folder, it can say, Ultimate New Home Sales, SoCal Entries 2017. That folder is okay to be named with your company name. Within that folder, as you can see here, that's where you'll see individual folders for each one of your individual entries, numbered with the serial number you received from the entry the system. As you can see, as it drops down there, it gives you the numbering sequence of how it should be numbered. And you'll have that from your entries confirmation. If we receive your entries and they're not numbered correctly, we will send it back to you and say, we're very sorry, you need to follow the naming conversion, we need you to resubmit it, because when we get this, you're dealing with let's say you have a pretty big load, maybe 20 entries. You have 20 entries. On our end, we have 600 entries. And so what happens is it's like little tiny grains of sand, and anytime we have to touch it, it has a tendency to have a problem. It's not the best idea to have us have to touch it. This is what the judging system looks like on screen. Okay, so the first round through, the judges see the submittal with all 8 images up at the same time. So they can get an overview of what the project looks like. Now this is obviously for the marketing categories and submittals rather than the individual achievement. They can see all 8 images, and then as we're going through, we blow them up and read them the statement. So I'm going to give you guys just a little tip what it feels like to go through the category. Okay, so let's take a look at entry 4304, located in Lone Tree. This home is targeted towards young professionals and families with a base price of $669,000. Square footage is 5,686 square feet. Beautiful inside and out. The attention to detail in this house is unparalleled. From carefully selected materials and color on the exterior to a well thought out livable floor plan inside, this house has it all. The open rail stair wows upon entry, but once around the corner, the glassed-in studies tucked below the stairs steals the show. The light and bright great room, designed to capture the beautiful views with expansive windows, opens to an infinity kitchen, which perfectly conceals a butler's pantry. An extra-large island, perfect for entertaining or casual meals, anchors the kitchen and provides extra counter space. The master suite screams luxury with its private covered balcony, fireplace, oversized walk-in closet, and a spa bath. Upstairs, a multifunctional loft is a perfect place for crafts or homework.
All outdoor spaces in this home are oriented towards the stunning mountain views because that's exactly why we live here in Colorado. Let's have a discussion now on this plan, judges, and our thoughts.
Okay, so that is literally a real time of an entry. And the reason that we show you that is so you can get an idea of that's literally how fast they have to review it. Now, that was almost a perfect entry because they literally wrote every single image as we were walking through the home. They walked us through the home just as though we were there visiting in person. Couple notes though, if you noticed, they talked about a luxurious master bath, but we didn't see any images of it. They mentioned an outdoor covered patio outside the master bedroom, but we didn't see it. Now, they're located on the floor plan, but maybe you might not want to point those out or do it in a different turn. But they literally walked out and pointed out all of the elements that you saw in those images. One of the key things I'll always say when putting it is, don't mention something you can't see. It's super frustrating for the judge because they're like, oh, well, where's the cute little girl's room? Well, we didn't get to see it. So those are just kind of some tips to you when you're going through and you're putting your materials together to consider that if you're doing marketing. Pass that again. So for those folks who are doing the marketing categories in the room, some of the things you're going to want to notice, and I'll kind of jump through these quickly because Amanda, you would be more likely to be putting any graphics or marketing together. So the keys to these, and I put these together as samples, is number one, numbering is important. As we said, make sure you follow that naming conversion. When you put it in sequential order, that's exactly the sequential order that you'll see on screen for the judges. And so with that being said, you can curate your entry, okay? You can decide what's that number one, number two, as you're guiding them through the entry, and you can write to that statement how you want to address it. And some of the examples, such as this one, this is a logo graphic design, or this is a logo category. They gave us a great example of how to do a marketing statement with bullet points. They stated their objective. They wanted to have memorable graphics for distinctly Texas flair. They want to differentiate this project from an increasing number of communities in their area. And then they did bullet points. They talked about their strong bold font, their steep land traditions, and their bold font. And they told the story of why this is named Kissing Tree, because it goes back to the fact that Sam Houston had a gubernatorial speech in 1857 in front of this mighty oak tree right located near the property, and he kissed several female attendees and started a local legend. Well, now that judge, which very important to understand, that judges who are here reviewing, Cynthia has done this in the past, she's judged with us, they're not from here. Okay, they're from outside the area, so they don't have that connectivity to when you make those little comments about, well, it's here over here on, Lemon Street. They don't know where Lemon Street is. They don't know that because they're from Texas or Northern California or Seattle, Washington. So you have to kind of tie the pieces together for them. So that grounded this and gave this some relevance. So that's one of the ideas in how to strategize on how to do your marketing statement is a bullet point addressing those touch-tone points and explaining why you did what you did and how well it was received. For digital marketing campaigns are really interesting. If you're putting something together in that vein, digital marketing campaigns are not necessarily just how pretty it looked, because obviously it has to be striking, but really how it performed. So in this case, this entrant went in and said exactly the clicks per rate, where it was placed, what their strategy was, where they wanted to focus their intention of driving traffic, whether it was to their website or whether it was to their online sales counselor. That's the intention for every single entry, is explain what your intention is. What were you trying to achieve with the campaign or with the strategy? For an overall overall advertising campaign, same situation. And I'm going to kind of address the fact that if you notice, I've used the same entrant who's building through here. There's a reason for that. They're building their case, just like building your case in a court case. If you're going for Community of the Year, you're going to want, you have required categories, but also, even if you're not, if you're going for marketing, you're building your case, letting those judges see you in all these different elements. So if you're going to overall advertising campaign, they go, oh, well, we saw the brochure, we saw their logo, and we saw their direct mail. So now by the time they get to you in overall advertising campaign, they feel like they know you. Oh, there's Mark Guys again. They literally will say that, right? Oh, there they are again. So and then the important part is not writing the same statement. Boilerplate statements, if you want to turn a judge off immediately, use the same statement for every entry. They will literally go, don't read it. Stop, don't read it. It provides no additional detail. They are just frustrated. They're like, never mind. And that is immediately they'll turn off. Even though it's a great entry and they love it, it may get marked down. So write to the exact category of what you're submitting and explain what you're trying to go for and why you're drawing attention to it. This is why this deserves to win. So when they gave results on the very end of this entry, they said the marketing team exceeded their goals. Following their campaign results, they had over 65,000 unique visits to their website, 6,200 leads in 7 months. They told us, okay, this is how we spent our money, this is what our job was, and this is what we achieved. It gives someone a basis to rate them when they're doing their score sheet. So here's a sales office entry, and the reason I'm going to jump into this was an interesting category where not only did they submit this because it was a great sales office, but it was also the first sales office they had done using a brand new design for their company. They were introducing this because this was now going to be a corporate design that they were going to use across all their brand. They talked about the fact they're a new company, this was a new design, and how well it was performing, how they really went and talked to their sales agents and they wanted to make sure that it fit the market needs. Interestingly enough, they didn't have 8 images, and so normally what'll happen is if you don't have 8 images, if you go back there, you'll see we'll put in a blank. That gray blank, that's a blank, that's a placeholder. That's something that we put in saying, hey, listen, they didn't have 8 images, but we did this placeholder. But what I'm going to show you is, I think what's a great opportunity is if you don't have that 8th image, use that floor plan. The floor plan is given to the judge. They look at it on their computer at their own station. But if you use that, it really fills in the space and it helps them because then they don't have to go look for it because it's really right there. So again, they talked about their presentation, why it was successful, and gave detail. So I thought this was a really good submittal. For interior merchandising, the key to interior merchandising, our sample entry is a perfect example. But one of the other elements is you do need to have a floor plan for interior merchandising and for architecture. They do not need to have furniture on the plan. If you have that, that's great, but it's not required. A nice clean plan from your brochure will work just fine. However, when the judges have it, don't make it 3 different PDFs. Make it one PDF with the pages together so they can scroll through it and find things easily. As you saw earlier, they only have a specific amount of time, so the easier we can make it for them to be able to find the materials that they're going to have to view, really will help. This will go back to, again, for the site plans and for the outdoor living spaces and landscape as well. Point out the challenges and what you overcame. And then for architectural design, same thing. Again, we put in the blank, but again, if you had had that floor plan up there, that would have really filled the space. But again, walking through the home really helps in addressing. The reason I use this as a sample is I thought this was a pretty savvy case. They knew that you could see that it was a great plan. Their photography, their floor plan were carrying the load, but what they wanted to address was the fact that they told the story that they were reviving a master plan that went dark before the downturn. It had pre-recession plans that did not fit today's buyer preferences. The design challenge was that the home had to retain the already approved footprint while updating the elevation and the space allocation within. The result is the home is totally in today and with today's living, but it retains the charm and character of the Spanish-inspired architecture by adapting to a completely contemporary way. So really what they did is they told us the story. Listen, here's the deal. This was already approved. We had to run what we run. We had to deal with the footprint. So this is the solution we came up with, but they did it in a really nice way. So that stood out to the judges. They're like, wait a minute. Think about what they had to do. They didn't have a blank canvas. They had to start from, they're already on their back foot. So again, telling that story, because the judges who are sitting here are literally your contemporaries just from another market. The majority of judges have been entrants. They've put together entries. They've won in their market. So they have compassion, empathy, and they understand what all the entrants have gone through. So when they sit down with pure of heart. They don't know you. They don't know your companies because everything's blind. And they're here really just to review things and rank them as they see them. So that's really kind of the information. So if you go with it in that point of view and you're putting your materials together, that'll kind of give you a guidance to work forward. Now,
One thing to drill down, if you're going to use that floor plan as one of your images, it would have to be in JPEG form. Make it be your last image of it's going to be
number 8.
If you only have 6, that would be your 6th one or your 8th one, whatever it is. But also have the PDF version in there as well. So because if it only came one way, I'm going to assume that that's the one that goes to the judges. So because I put things in different buckets for the different things that we need. So have one as a PDF. That the judges will have that. They can look at it longer if they want to and study it. But then it's up there also as a kind of as a placeholder as that 8th image if you want.
So for the folks who are putting together the sales professionals and the professional achievement entries, the best way I can counsel is to say the cover sheet or the form that you complete on behalf of your candidate is their introduction letter, okay? It doesn't need to go into the deep detail of everything that they did throughout that year. Hit the highlights, hit the challenges, hit the obstacles, hit the wins, hit the things that made that person stand apart. The one thing a judge said once was, well, that's great, she did her job, but she didn't do anything more than that. You get paid for doing your job. You win awards for doing something above and beyond. And I thought that's if you think of it that way and you write your statement with that type of intention, it really shines through. I mean, we've seen a billion nominations say, well, so she arrived at 8:30 and she opened the models and she fluffed the pillows and she turned on the lights and she greeted the guests and she answered their questions and she she did her follow-up phone calls, and you're literally reading this and you're going, really? Like, yeah, that's kind of like the general job description. But then you get to the next one and you hear, well, Amber had a tough project. It was located just across the street from the good school district. It was literally across the street. And so she had the tough sell because her project was going to be in the not so good school district, but yet there were no new schools for that school district because everything was really being built across the street. So Amber went and petitioned the school board and said, if you would just annex over into our project, we're a young family profile and we're going to have probably 50 to 60 kids who would benefit from these schools. You should consider that really this would be a great thing to annex because it's going to be a fantastic addition to your city. She went to her builder, convinced them to follow her, and she got them annexed and she got them into the good school district. Well, can you imagine how much easier it was to sell that project because she was now in the good school district and she took that upon herself? That's going above and beyond. And it was a great story. And she told the story about the fact that she goes, I didn't do it because I was just doing it for myself. I was doing it because I knew it was the right thing to do for my buyer. So those are the stories that you go, oh my gosh, it's the fantastic idea of somebody. Now that's an extreme case. Now, the one thing I will hesitate on or counsel you away from is it doesn't always necessarily need to be the saddest, most derogatory story about the community. Because sometimes you'll hear those stories. I mean, we had one. So Susie's community was in Marietta, and she was across the street from the rendering factory. And every day the rendering truck would come with the animals, and there were flies everywhere. And she had to sell it out of her car because there was no sales office. And she was there and with no signage, but she had to dig the trenches herself. And on rainy days, she had to walk around and do. I mean, you'll literally get something that bad. And what I'll say is, those stories sometimes will shoot you in the foot. Because really that's not showcasing their sales efforts. It might have been better to say, so Susie had a challenge. She didn't have any, she didn't have any signage. She didn't have a sales office. She really had to hustle. She had to go out and she had to really farm for her buyers. She had to find different ways and just structure it in a little bit different way than the sob story, poor me.
It's almost,
Sometimes-
they come across better if you highlight all the sales success that Susie had, and then if you want to throw in, and by the way, here's some of the challenges that she had to go up against. If you hear those at the end rather than throwing them out there and then she overcame, it's almost better to show what she did and then
Yeah,
the challenges.
absolutely.
It's the advantage of flies being around you.
Exactly. No, it's happened. I mean, I'm not going to say that there
You
hasn't
sell
been
in
people who
Chino,
won.
you have
Yeah.
a prison, you have cows.
Yeah. Well, the Dairylands equaled money. Yeah, you sold.
That was the greatest one. So she was selling in Chino. Let me tell you about Chino. It has 3 prisons, it has flies, it has dairy cows, and it has 4 freeways that go through it. And nobody works there. Everybody works someplace else. But they have great homes. So again, what they're looking for is they're looking as a judge to determine where's the sales performance? What did this person do that created a sale or created something more than they just opened the models that day? Now, that's their introduction letter. Remember that. That's for somebody that they're gonna read prior to them coming in or doing an interview by Skype, FaceTime. And what I say by that is because obviously Southern California is a very large region, so if you can't get here in person, it's understood. It's always better to be here in person because I'm gonna tell you right now, sitting across the desk from someone is a completely different concept than trying to convince someone via Skype or FaceTime or by phone, which we've also done. So if that is something that they can do, that's great. Now, with that being said, if you have a live buyer walking in the door an hour after your interview and you need to sign a contract, by all means, be in your office and sign your contract and do your business that day and FaceTime into us. They understand that. And actually, that's a great way to lead. I'm so sorry I can't be with you today. I have 2 buyers who are coming in to close on their brand new American Dream home, and I cannot believe how excited they are. And I couldn't possibly leave them today because we've been through this. We've been through this field for 6 months together, and I need to be there. I mean, this literally has been said, and people are like, oh, wow, that's awesome. So, with that being said, that's very true. Each candidate is asked 3 questions. They're the same exact 3 questions. And I always tell people before they walk in, or Shane says to them actually, this is not a job interview. This is just so they can understand who you are and how you are, who you are. And the 3 questions are, Shane,
Your biggest success, your biggest challenge, and what you're most proud of.
your biggest success, your biggest challenge, and what you're most proud of. And normally within that, they will tell you, because most people, sales agents or sales managers, they'll explain to you what they've been through in that year, because that's just it. It's their leading questions. They do have 10 minutes, okay? And the reason that they have 10 minutes is that we have to do, in some cases, anywhere between 30 and 50 interviews in a day because of the categories. And so that keeps everybody on a level playing field. They're all asked the same questions. And we do have, there are 2 judges in each team who do the interviews. 1 judge is the questioner, 1 judge is the timekeeper. And so that way it keeps everything fair. So with that being said, if you can kind of give that candidate like, hey, come in, be calm, share, impart your story. At that point, it's a horse race. There's not much you can do. It's just based on who's entered in the category and what their story is. That's the one part about this. This is not horse racing. This is figure skating. Is the better analogy. Okay, so they scale them as they would. Now there are 2 judges, and those 2 judges have a conversation and then they rank it. And by that scoring, that's how the winner is determined. They don't normally come to a united decision in some cases. Let's see. Again, $1 million sales achievements are not judged. Those are just submitted. Any other questions? Yes.
My first question is, in reading this, I want to make sure I'm reading this right.
Uh-huh.
It says that the official entry fees are due on August 15th, official entry fee and material submissions deadline. But then later it says your entry materials are due by July 29th.
I'm July.
If you go down to 2017 steps to enter, your entry
That's
materials are
me.
due by
My
July
bad.
29th.
Don't worry about that. That was a pickup. Thank you for catching my error. It's August 23rd.
Okay, so can I just,
And really where that comes from, and I'll share, there is a tidbit. If you are planning to submit in our sister program, the San Diego Icon Awards, that is their entry deadline. And so you can enter in the San Diego Icon Awards and then select to have your entry saved and rolled over into the SoCal Awards.
Is it the same
It's
now?
There are 2 different entry fees,
Yeah.
but the materials are exactly the
Okay.
same. Okay, so you can get recognition locally in San Diego, then take that same materials to Southern California, which is regional, and then you can actually click the button and go to nationals. And you can do that, you can enter, I mean, how cool is that, right? You can go
That's
local,
it.
regional, and national in one fell swoop with the same entry materials. All you have to do is pay the fees. It is quite brilliant, I will say.
Sorry, more questions.
Yes, but great, thank you for inspiring me.
When I went online last night just to look around, it had, for the Professional Achievement Awards, it had the submission at 150.
It just needs to be updated.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for catching that.
And also remember that about entering the sales awards to be able to get into SoCal.
You must have submitted within the quarterlies. So in order to be eligible to be in the sales professional categories, you must have submitted for sales achievement and or sales recognition in the quarterly sales awards. That would be, so your final chance, if you haven't already done so, is to submit for the second quarter sales awards.
One more.
Yes,
Sorry.
ma'am. No, you're good questions. You have all good questions.
These are all logistical. And then I assume it will say on the form for the salespeople what dates we're looking at, because
This is gonna be mine, yeah.
one of the reasons that we always end up submitting late is you're waiting for stuff
Yeah.
to close so that it hits your.
And I believe that I made it August 1st to August 1st, so
Okay.
that it would give you that time
Plenty
to
of time.
generate those
Okay,
numbers.
so it will be on the form though?
Yes,
Okay.
it's on the form.
Is that the same for nationals? If you roll it over, does it?
For
Wasn't
nationals?
it October usually? when you
Yes,
did
it's
it?
October. So what
that's
we
nice.
allowed you to do, if you're gonna roll over to nationals, is you can, and what we suggest for professional achievement, this is the only category where you might wanna go back and freshen your entry, is for professional achievement, the form for the nationals is a little deeper and asks a few more questions. Is what we do is we say, thanks for rolling over your entry, your candidate, and we're super excited that you're going for it. Hey, here's the, bless you, here's the form for the nationals. Please complete this because it's gonna make you apples to apples with everyone else who's being submitted. And so that way you can update it and freshen it and expound.
Okay.
So thank you for noting, yes, that's a great.
They already have their
observation.
face or whatever image you give us of them, so. it's-
Yeah.
And basically you've got the bulk of it, you're just gonna expand.
Yeah.
And so August 28th, I'm just looking at the date later here because it says personal interviews will be held on August 12th, which is not correct.
Yeah, we updated that. We had to change the judging for the SoCal Awards is the longest judging we do of all the awards programs. It literally takes 4 days. And so we were asking judges to come in for literally the week, and because the market is so robust, people can't give that much time. So what we've done is we have 2 sets of judges come in, so we had to move some dates. So that's when that changed.
I think that's it. Sorry.
Awesome, but thank you for noticing all of my edits that I need to update. I appreciate that.
So then eligibility might be the last edit, right? August, whatever dates the DAC
Yes.
is.
August 1st to August 1st. And I will triple check that for you guys.
So in your sample judging questionnaire, when you're running through the pictures and the descriptions, that's the first time the judges have seen that, or they've had information review?
So they see it 3 times, great question. So the first time they see it, we go through it one time through it as a first impression. And what the judges have in front of them is what we call the judge's cheat sheet, and it has all the entries for that category in order with their numbers. And so we go through it on screen with the overview 8. And
And
we
it
go
has
through
their
them.
square footage or their price.
So you'll go through it and you'll see it and go, okay, so this project's located in San Marcos, it's a first-time home buyer, and they're looking at the images. We go to the next image, okay, this is in Laverne, this is a move-up buyer, priced at this amount of money. We go through the next image, this is located in Rancho Mission Viejo, $700,000, empty nester. So that they can get an
They can
idea.
make little notes, get their first impressions on that cheat sheet. And when we get through all of them, we go back to the top.
Then we come back to the top and they get we go through the full package.
Deep dive.
The deep dive. And normally
And
what'll
we blow them
happen.
all up like that, or in the first one, we let them look at all 8 and kind of take it in.
And normally what'll happen is that's when you'll have somebody go, hey, check this out. Did you notice this? I think this is really great. This fits the buyer profile. they'll get into a deep discussion, and then when they're ready to move on, we go to the next one. Now, we don't spend, 20 minutes there because we have a lot of ground to cover, but they do have a chance to have, and they do have open discussion.
And then when we get down to the end of that, they usually kind of narrowed it down to their top 10, top 5, and they might say, hey, could I see 2342? They just want to remember something that was an inspiration from that grouping, and then they tally them up.
Are they ordered numerically by the order in which they're submitted?
Yes,
So they would know this one got submitted first, it's first in the stack.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. But normally, I don't think anybody's ever sat there and went, okay, so it's like the first or the last.
Whether you submitted, whether you go home back to your office today and say, okay, we're going to do this, and you submit them today and you get your numbers today, versus waiting 3 or 4 weeks, they're not going to know that.
The shuffle's there, yeah, it doesn't.
And just because you're the last entry doesn't mean you waited till the day before. It doesn't necessarily.
No, wait, Shane, let's change that answer. No, that's terrible, you never want to be the last person in the category.
Higher numbers are doomed.
You're totally doomed. Yeah, the first person in always wins. Yeah, that's it. That'd be
So,
great.
I noticed up there, on some of them, there weren't 8 images, and you have the grayed out. Here in the handout, it looks like there's one that only has 4 images.
So yes, and there's, so interestingly enough, great point, Nancy. So it was for a digital marketing campaign. And so what they did a strategy. Okay, this goes back to creating a strategy of what you want to present. They decided that they were going to showcase, their first image was their website and a banner. Okay, but they showed it on a computer screen so they could show you what it was going to look like, okay? Their second image is all their banner ads together and how they built. And I think what they were showing is that they faded, okay, they transitioned on screen while you were looking at, a website. Their third image was their social media. And their fourth image was another social media page. And so what they did is they, instead of breaking it up across 8 images, they decided to gang it together to showcase the different routes that they took for their digital media campaign. Now, this didn't hurt them. This actually, in a way, may have been smart because really what it is, it hung together and the judge understood, because they weren't focusing on really how pretty it was, they were really focusing on what their strategy, their marketing strategy was. And in that
results.
category, results and strategy are actually outweigh look.
And there will be entrants that would, like, for instance, it would take that banner slide, and they would have one with the horizontals, one with the verticals, and one with the small ones, and have individual slides for that. And there's no wrong answer to it, it's just how they chose to do it.
Okay, because we're looking, number one, we're going to prepare this in-house. We don't have an ad agency to prepare the entry. And some of it, because this has to do with it, we're actually looking at special promotion. There may be like cell phone pics of the booth back in January that we have to use. And so I'm trying to figure out how to
And
tell the
those
story.
And those are great. And for us, let me back up. One thing, if you're going to be submitting for a specific category and you'd like a track to run on or a sample, you can email us and say, hey,
Oh, good.
I'm submitting in sales office, I'm submitting in special promotion, I'm submitting on a website. Can you send me sample entries? And we'll go back through, we'll find some strong entries from other areas, and we'll send them to you as a sample. It'll give you a sample marketing statement, and it'll give you a strategy of how somebody put something together. For special promotion, that's just it. Majority of the time, the special promotion is the story of what you were trying to do and what you accomplished. The images are just really supporting documents
Okay.
to what you were trying to achieve.
Good. So that way,
Yes.
I mean, the graphics itself, what we did was professionally designed, but as far as telling the story, again, we're not going to have an ad agency put it together.
And that's totally fine. Like, I'll send you a couple samples of
Good,
that.
because I've never
Then-
done these before.
Of course. And what it is it's understanding what the intention of the category is. Sometimes that's just it. The story outweighs the imagery.
Great.
We get a lot of special promotion stuff for Dallas, for instance, and they're out just shooting with their cell phone, shooting the people at the thing, and it's very candid type of imagery. So,
You
but it was more about we had this many people come, and it was about results, and then the pictures just kind of highlight a little bit.
At the end of the day, from this promotion, we were able to compile this many leads, close this many deals, sign this many contracts. And in a way, the judge is like, well, that's the intention, right, is to sell. So,
Good,
yeah, it's the story.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so samples, anytime you need samples, absolutely happy to send you some, because really, isn't that just it? If you it's like showing somebody that, in your school book, and you can see the sample problem, and you're like, oh, now I get it. Same idea.
But to speak to architecture and to interior categories, and we really don't have this issue in this market, but use the best photography that you can afford. And it's not a pretty picture contest because they do look at the floor plans, but if you have 6 images, and we've seen this more in nationals, in smaller markets where some entries come from, if you have 6 images, don't feel I need to go out there with my cell phone and shoot 2 more just to get those 2 extra ones, because when you add a lower quality to higher quality, sometimes that just doesn't work. And then also,
it'll actually shoot you in the foot.
right, and then also for your individual salespeople, that one there, headshots aren't required. Everybody can take a cell phone picture, but it just seems to be that's the one that we seem to not get images for, is for individuals. And if push comes to shove and we get down to the end, you hate somebody just to have a company logo because somebody couldn't take a selfie.
Oh, it's awful. I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but it's one of those things where here this person is, and there's a great example of this. In Northern California this year, they had 146 sales professionals who went for $1 million. 146 sales professionals. When we added up all their totals, they had sold over $2 billion in real estate within 1 year. I mean, that's insane. One lady sold $300 million in sales. I mean, it was incredible. So, but here she was, $300 million in sales, and her picture was her LinkedIn picture, and it was all tiny and pixelated, and it was awful. And we kept emailing her like, please, somebody go out there. There's got to be an iPhone in somebody's office so you can take a decent picture of this poor lady. And they didn't do it, and it was just, it broke our heart, because here it was just the last little piece. You're like, really, that's just, it's going to be on this 50-foot screen, and she's this big. So yeah, take the time. It doesn't need to be the glamour shot. That used to be, those were the days when you did the glamour shots. But it does, even a cute selfie, anything is better. And I've been known to Facebook stalk and try to find something better for someone if we don't have something that, it's better if you have a good image. Yeah. Anything else?
Can you run through the nominated categories just briefly?
Yeah.
Like, I remember last year there was a little, because you have to get permission, and then they have to write their own statement, or we write it, and I can't remember.
So we changed that.
Okay.
So this year, for the nominated categories is marketing professional, associate, customer service, rising star, and superintendent. And the reason we did superintendent is most superintendents are not going to submit themselves. They're too busy building houses. It's for someone to submit them and say, hey, this person's amazing. This is what they did this year. These are the things that they did that changed our company, our industry, our world, our culture. Mm-hmm. And because you're doing it, that's why we made it a nominated. It's from their superior or from their coworker, okay? And so you're totally okay. We kind of took away that 2-step process that was the hiccup from last year. But with that being said, when you nominate someone, please tell them they're nominated, so that then when we call them and go, hi, you have an interview on August 28th at 11:15, they go, what? What? I'm going to Jamaica that day for my vacation. Okay, well, we have a 10 o'clock interview. Would you like to be, your boss submitted you, and then we get the phone call from the beach chair in Jamaica, which has happened, and the person won. But it's always good to give them a heads up.
I want to mention just about the times too.
So this is a really great point. So what will happen is when the entries come in, they come in sequentially. However, for the candidates, when we're doing the interviews, what we like to do is we like to do categories and groupings, okay? So we start the day, we have 2 sets of judges, and one set of judges might be doing rookie salesperson, sales professional, and marketing director. And the other team might be doing sales team, online sales counselors, and sales managers, okay? So they're working together at the same time. They're kind of working down the day. because they only have so much time. But we like to keep all the rookies together so that, let's say there's 6 rookies. They talk to all those 6 rookies at this, in a line, so that when they finish the 6th person, they can sit there and go, okay, so we just talked to all these people. Now, is it Bobby, Susie, Sally, or
We give them about a
Luke, or
15-minute block
Lori?
between when their next interview section starts to talk about who all they just saw, battle them up, and then they can move on to the next thing.
And because in the old days, we would let people pick their times. Well, if you can imagine, if you're some judge and you've talked to a rookie person, then you're talking to a community superintendent, and then you're talking to an online salesperson, your brain is tapioca. I mean, it's already tapioca, I mean, even the way we do it, I mean, they're pretty tired. But it helps to keep everything together in a nice orderly fashion. So that's why when we send the email out with the times, those times are really, we've been as strategic as we possibly can, and we try to do the best case for everybody.
Are you guys gonna be breaking up the sales professional?
Sales professional
Based on-
may be broken up
Depending on how many
dependent
entries you
on,
get?
yes,
Okay.
on entries, on sales price.
Okay.
It'll all be dependent on what comes in the door.
Okay.
But right now, the way the advisory committee set it is it would be 1. And the reason for that is they really wanted it to be a strong competition.
Mm-hmm.
However, we did lobby to say, if we have entries that, for a team or a salesperson who's selling $400,000 product versus someone selling $2.5 million on the coast, those are totally two
Yeah.
different, that's just not fair. So there may be where we would break it, absolutely.
So, but it'll be dependent on what? interest
Depending
you
on
get.
what walks
Got
in
it.
the door, exactly.
But at the end of the day, we still want it to be a competition, so
Sure.
just because there's only one of those $400,000 guys doesn't mean that they should just get something.
Sure.
because they-
So yeah, definitely, but and that's actually a really good point. In every single category in the SoCal Awards, there's always an opportunity for the category to be condensed or expanded. And the reason for that is we really strive to have recognition for the best product and the best people that are out there. So if we have a category, for instance, for interior merchandising, and we have 30 entries in it, well, we'll look to see if we can break it based on price, based on square footage, or based somewhere. Because those 30 entries are probably extraordinary, and so you have to find out. Now, if you have a category that has 1 entry and then the next category up has 4, well, you might see that collapse into one category so that it makes it more competitive. So
But we just judged a competition last week that the one interior category, I think, had 15 or 20 entries, and we really looked for a way to split it, but they were all 25, 27, 2,800 square feet, so they were just all right there within the same thing, so it really wasn't, there wasn't a natural break in there, so.
right.
Wow.
Online sales counselors. Anybody submitting online sales counselors? You may, okay. So the key to an online sales counselor is a little different than an on-site salesperson. Online, you're really looking for what their responsibilities are, how they work with the team, what their role is, and how they work off of each other. How many times they touch someone before they're to turn it over to an actual appointment. And then also the time or the aspects of when they work. We had one online sales counselor in Dallas who worked from 6 a.m. until 4 p.m. each day. She was required to set an appointment after the second call for every call. She actually received commission off of a sale if she sold. So it was, everyone, it's kind of like the Wild Wild West. Every deal is structured differently. And so the reason I state that is if you don't have to give away your complete secrets of, what their package is or compensation package is, but if they understand, if the judge can understand what the expectations are and what motivates them, it helps them to understand. Like this little gal was like, she was making phone calls at 6 a.m. every morning, well, because she was going to get part of those sales. So it made a big difference. Versus her co-winner in the category, which was really interesting. He was a 65-year-old guy. He had come in, he had formerly worked, he had been an on-site salesperson. He had gone away during the downturn and sold medical supplies. He came back in as an online sales counselor, and his job was to take cold leads. Anything that was 6 months to 9 months old. And his job was to cold call all these people and ask them if they had come back out and visited them lately. And this guy would sit all day long and make cold calls. he had a 50% conversion rate.
Wow.
I mean, it was insane.
Gift
But
of
you,
gab.
but he had the gift of gab, and he could convince these people to give it another try. But he could just turn these people. He could make them warm, and then he could make it hot, and he could get the sale. So again, each one of them is a completely different, and you know, what their relationship is and what they're trying to achieve. So
Or can we submit as a team? Because we have a team of online sales.
you can submit as a team because that's something new. So then we would split it, and then you might have recognition for online team versus an online counselor who's just working it independently. Yeah, that's actually really good. There are a number of, and the interesting thing is, this is the one category where you can be remote. You actually don't need to be in Southern California. There's many that are located in different areas where they answer all the phone calls for a national company. We'll accept it if they cover your territory. Yes, ma'am.
What's your opinion on if we have a team and one person's a rookie and one person's a salesperson, submitting them for team or individually or both?
Okay, so that's a great question. If you have a team, I'd submit them as a team, and then I would submit that rookie as a rookie. And then I don't know that I would submit the other person individually because, and that's what you have to determine. Are they
Right.
stronger as a team
Right.
or are they stronger
Typically,
individually?
we've never done that. We've
Yeah.
always picked one or the other, and so I'm kind of
Exactly.
curious.
So, and because we've had that happen, where you'll have you'll see it across the board, but all of a sudden you'll say, well, here's Mary, she's a rookie. Oh, but Mary's coming back, and by the way, when we have that, we try to make their interviews close together so they don't have to, they
Right.
can come back. You'll see Mary, because Mary might interview with a totally different team, a judging team, than she will for sales team.
Okay.
So it's a good play. It's a good strategy.
Okay.
But you always pick where you believe they have the strongest opportunity.
But you wouldn't necessarily use that strategy for a sales professional.
No,
You-
it's.
I mean, I understand where
probably-
you're coming from. Since a rookie, it makes more
The
sense.
rookie is, it's like, what if you're coming in and there's fewer rookies, so you
Sure.
have an opportunity.
Yeah.
The teams normally, because what's gonna happen is the judge is gonna ask them, well, how do you work? Well, I work in a team. Well, why aren't you here being submitted as
Right.
a team? So then there's the question start, okay, is it a competitive floor? Do you share sales? How does that work? And so then it kind of opens up to this
Okay.
confusion.
Okay.
Expounding on that, for $1 million sales achievement, if they share the sale, you split the sales and give them each half. They don't get to take the entire amount. If that makes sense. But if you have to determine how the floor works for you.
How architecture versus interiors are gonna be, or separate out?
So if you're submitting architecture and interior merchandising this year, we have split the categories. Architecture is done by square footage of the plan, and it's planned as modeled. So if it has optional spaces and so forth, you do it as modeled. If you're submitting for interior merchandising, it's the sales price of the plan, not the model, but of the base of the plan without upgrades or finishes and so forth. So if you were to sell that house, that model with those, say it has an optional casita, whatever the base price of that house would be, a production model, you don't have to include all the finishes and flooring and so forth. Like some people will go, okay, so the base price of this house is $700,000, but we added the casita, so that's $100,000, so it's really an $800,000 house. Well, that'll make a difference because you might be in one or another category. So, but if you show the casita, you have to show the price.
Listen, for sales professionals, there are instances that the salesperson is selling 2 or 3 communities, and what if they're all in different price range?
Well, it won't matter this year since it's all one category. So, but what you'd want to do is say, and that's a great question because let's say you're a team that has sold out of one community, you moved on to the next one, and then that one went really well, or you got reassigned. It's telling the story, and then if we do slice the deck in half, then we would figure out where you spent the most time. Okay, where the majority of your so if you do have someone who's crossed projects or communities, you'd want to tell a story. Well, basically, I spent the majority of my time was spent selling at this price range because that's where you'll determine it. Yeah, I mean, for your instance, yeah, you would go anywhere between $700,000 and $3 million, right? I mean, you'd be in 3 different price ranges.
Big community, so.
Right, exactly. But in that instance, yeah, they're gonna look at that, they're gonna look at what you, not necessarily what you were selling, but how you went about the process
So
of
submitting
doing
the
that.
timeline would be.
A timeline would be fabulous. Actually, that would be really good. If you are doing that, and I know you guys have that as well, where you'll sell out a project, a timeline of where that person was and when they stopped selling there and moved on, that would be great. Photos in introduction don't necessarily help, by the way. Those, sometimes we'll get deep introduction letters that are like 6 pages long where somebody will send in like, well, this is what it looked like and this is what I had to deal with. Just state it as statistics that the person shine, because it's really about the person, not about the project.
One final question, or maybe final. For the $1 million, being you have to be a GSMC member.
Correct.
So individually, yes, you have to be. Okay.
Yes.
I know that's something that's been recently starting to be enforced because it was kind of a gray area. I felt like I talked to Amy about it because I was like, wait a second. When did this?
It was there, and you know, sometimes people would slip by. But
Uh-huh.
the intention of this is to, number one, is for engagement, and 2, it's presented by the GSMC and the BIA, so we really want to make sure that people are participating. And then there's greater value at the end of the day. But yes, they should be members, and it's $85, so it's not a big buy. So
What if they're selling in San Diego?
as long as they're a member of BIASC, their company, like let's say they're selling
Okay.
from Cal Atlantic or something like that, and they have
Okay.
a sister project, they'll let them submit.
Okay.
Yes. So most times but yeah, if you're let's say you're selling for a builder that's not a BIASC member, you're probably not going to go for salesperson of the year. That's probably just not going to play out for you.
When does GSMC membership renew? Is it January 1st? Or is it the middle of the year? Or
It's not a calendar year, it's an anniversary date. So if you join on August 1st, you're a member for 12 months. So you get the full
that
12
would be
months.
good insight to share on the 12th because I don't think a lot of people know that. It's like one thing we were talking about in our office that if people sign up now, is that good for only 6 months
Right.
or what? You know, so I think that would be good to maybe cover some of that membership 411.
You got it. Thanks
I think
for
it would be.
pointing that
I
out.
think it would be really helpful. There's a lot of new people coming
And you know what? That's just it. We need to understand where the objections are or where the hiccups are, so that we
Yeah.
can address that and make sure that people understand the value of the proposition for us. Exactly. So that's a really good point. So we'll add that. We'll actually add a link to that and explain that up.
Cool.
To make them feel better. So final couple notes for this year for you guys to be aware of. One is if you are planning to attend the SoCal Awards and or to sponsor the SoCal Awards, which we highly encourage, you definitely want to make your plans early. This ballroom, the Sequoia Ballroom, is a much smaller space. It's a more intimate space. It only holds 556 people. And the first 556 people in the door get to come to the show, and the 557th person doesn't. So, with that being said, don't wait till the last minute. Talk to your team, strategize who wants to come, who's going to be there, so that you have those plans in motion. Sponsors are receive VIP and preferential treatment, and so for instance, if you're a sponsor and you decide you want to buy 5 tables, well, you get the first shot at those 5 tables. So that's always good to know. And also, the sooner you sponsor, the longer the benefits will play out. You will have full marketing elements throughout the entire period, and we want to make sure that everybody gets their bang for their buck.
Are tickets on sale already?
They have gone on sale.
Okay.
And it's going to be beautiful, and I think you're all going to enjoy it.
When will you announce finalists?
So interestingly enough, this year, we're not going to announce finalists. We are going to announce a list of companies who have achieved finalist status. So you will not necessarily know where you finaled in what category. And there's a reason for this. One, this is engagement factor for the attendees in the room who have a tendency to become quite chatty and who are a little less than respectful to those folks who are on stage winning or being recognized for their finalists. 2, it's to create anticipation and excitement for those folks who want to come to the show to see what they finaled for. And we're hoping that it'll increase people's attention spans. Because we've noticed lately that the market's much better and people are a little more narcissistic and less respectful, and it's become a rude factor. So, because at the end of the night, we really want everybody who wins an award to be cheered and be celebrated, because that's what it's about. So, but to answer your question, September 1st. September 1st, you will get a letter as an entrant saying, congratulations, your firm has finalists. You should be there. And make your plans now. Icon, the finalists will come out. We judge Icon 14, 15. It'll be about the 17th, 18th payment. And their show is 1 week prior to SoCal. So they're the 23rd, I believe. Any other questions? Hopefully we help.
Thank you.
If you think of anything, again, this is the beginning. As you're going through the process and you're putting your entries together, if you're all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm gonna get going. Oh, I need some questions. Call us. Shane and I are there. We're waiting to answer questions, send you sample entry materials. We believe the only stupid question is the one never asked. And there's never a time where someone doesn't ask a question, I go, oh, wow, I never thought of that before. Yeah, let me find that out for you. And we really want you to succeed, as does the BIA. They really want to see the best work and showcase everyone in the room. Megan, any final thoughts about the show?
I think so. We're just coming to the website.
Coming to the website, finding other things. Oh yeah, there's all kinds of other little goodies. The forms on the website should be in Word to download. If for some reason you need something to be editable, let us know. We'll fix it for you. We want you guys to be able to make this easy, fast. And again, when you're submitting your entries, final thing is you submit them via Dropbox. We transfer, you send it, whatever you guys want to use, so that it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. And once we receive your materials, we don't confirm that we received it because the barrage that comes in is very strong. But once everything is checked in, if we're missing anything, we call. Okay? We believe in no entry left behind. It's our job to make sure you're there, so we'll call you if we're missing it. That's it.
Thank you.